we will invite you to chant the incense lighting gatha together. And together we say, in gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. Good morning, everyone. Few announcements this morning. Just a reminder that if you need to use a restroom, just behind those curtains, there are 2 restrooms available. There's also one available downstairs. If you're in need of a cup of water, there should be cups of water located at both entrances. Or you can go downstairs. There's a water fountain down there as well. If you need some time away, please take some time downstairs. There's a space there that you can relax in. We ask that you not walk across the front of the dais just for the sake of our online viewers, and to maintain visual of the front of the dais. Apart from that, let's go ahead and stand up and silently greet one another. You're going to begin with the 3 refuges on page 3. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to practice mindful living, smiling, looking deeply into things. I vow to cultivate living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion, and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to offer joy to one person in the morning, and to help relieve the grief of one person in the afternoon. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. And on the next page, we have the Heart Sutra. Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion from the deep practice of prajna, paramita, perceived the emptiness of all 5 skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. No realm of sight. No realm of consciousness. No ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance. No old age and death, nor extinction of them. No suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all delusive views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant fearless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, para gate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. The Mahaprajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra. Before we are seated, this is an opportunity for those of you who have a prostration practice to engage in that. If you don't have prostration practice, you can just stand, just wait until we're finished before sitting down. Prostrations are a way to move your body to signal to your mind that that these teachings are available to us. And it's a way of saying, I think of it as a way of thinking with them. It's humility. It's also saying there's more that I need to learn. There's more that I need to let go of. There's many things that my mind keeps attaching to, and through this physical expression, I'm showing my mind that I can keep returning to it and hopefully someday eventually. So we're actually going to start with our meditation today. Before we get into the talk, but I'll do a quick introduction before we get into that meditation. So my name is Igye Sue. For those of you who have not met me before or might be new to the temple, I've been away for the month of May. I was in an intensive training with my teacher every Saturday and Sunday, so I couldn't be here. I also had in April, I think this was right before I gave my last talk, I went into a solar retreat, which is where you turn off all your electronics and don't talk to anybody for like 5 days. And you give your mind the opportunity to study something that your teacher has given you guidance in. So I've had quite a busy couple of months here, and I'm excited to share some of the stuff that I've learned recently with you. So get yourself into a comfortable meditation posture. This is going to be a guided analytical meditation. And if we could get the lights. Thank you. Stretch it out a little bit. Wake your body up. It's Sunday morning. Might still be a little bit sleepy. I know I am. Just give your body that chance to be able to relax enough so your mind can be less distracted. Finding a comfortable seated posture. Feet should be on the ground, or if you're sitting in a chair, or in a comfortable position if you're seated in a cushion. The legs should be comfortable, creating a solid foundation for your body. Spine pulled up straight, like a stack of gold coins, delicately balanced on top of each other. Allowing the shoulders to relax. Hands should be resting in a comfortable position. Relax the jaw and allow the tongue to rest at the back of the teeth. Bring a small Mona Lisa smile to the corners of your lips. It's a reminder that this practice is aimed at injecting joy into our life off the cushion. So practice it while you're on the cushion. Give yourself 10 rounds of breathing. That means on the inhale and then the exhale, that counts 1. As you're going through these 10 breaths, try to identify any areas of tension that are in your body and see if you can relax them just a little bit more. As you come to finish those 10 breaths, allow the counting to fade away and let your awareness settle into this question. Where does your experience of reality come from? There's no right or wrong answer. Just let whatever comes up come up. Where does your experience of reality come from? Let's take a moment to reflect on just an everyday experience, simple moment. Think of something that had a small impact on your experience today. Maybe somebody smiled at you as you entered the temple this morning. Maybe traffic was clear and smooth, so you felt at ease as coming to temple this morning. Maybe you were late and didn't get your cup of coffee. All of those have some subtle emotion attached to it. And so whatever that moment is for you, ask yourself, where did the experience come from? What caused the moment to appear the way it did? What caused the annoyance of not getting the coffee to appear? What caused the feeling of ease? The Buddha taught that nothing happens without conditions. Things arise because of many small causes meeting the conditions for that experience to arise. Karma means the movement of the mind and what motivates it. These are our words, our actions, our thoughts. All of those create the causes and conditions for future habitual experience. They ripen depending on the conditions surrounding you. So ask yourself, is it possible that something I did recently or long ago helped create the feelings that I experienced in this moment? If you were warmly greeted this morning, have you spoken kindly to others before? If you experienced annoyance at not getting your coffee, when did you create annoyance in somebody else? The point of this exercise isn't to assign blame. It's just observing habitual patterns. Karma, or cause and effect, is the framework for dependent origination. Something you do over and over again will cause that habit to grow. Now bring to mind a familiar emotional habit. Maybe it's defensiveness, or doubt, or hesitation. Maybe it's distractedness, like getting carried away from this meditation as you hear people outside. And so ask yourself, did the way that you're responding to this situation just come out of nowhere? Or have you practiced it over and over again without realizing it? Just like an Olympic swimmer gets better with practice, we get better at being reactive or patient or generous, depending on what we do repeatedly. What you think, what you say, and what you do is shaping your tomorrow. And this is karma. But what it means is that your future is flexible, that you have a choice. So reconnect with your breath. Let the body relax. Let the mind settle. And ask yourself, what kind of future would you like to create? What seeds could you plant today in your thoughts, your words, and your actions? What could you do differently, or maybe more of, to transform your experience of reality? It's important to remember your agency. Maybe silently offer this intention. May I become more aware of what I'm planting. May my actions grow into something kind and useful. And may I meet each moment as a chance to choose. Take a deep breath in and exhale slowly. And when you're ready, gently come back to the room. Welcome back, friends. Figured I could get hopefully a little bit more talking in, but we'll see. Because we're going to be talking about Lojong. So these past 2 months, I've been in training. This last month in May, I was studying sleep and dreams for those of you who don't know, I study in the Tibetan lineage. So my teacher had an advanced training on what it means to investigate the part of your consciousness that takes up a third of your life, the part that is spent sleeping, which is called Chod practice in Tibetan. And in tandem with that, I also I've been doing about a 2-month-long study on Lojong with another one of my teachers. And I know I had asked on Facebook what was the interest that I'd talk about today, and I think it came out that Lojong was the interest that people wanted to hear about. So Lojong, who's familiar with Lojong? Who's done a Lojong practice before? Okay, so not many of us. So there's a training that we do here at the temple, usually during our silent retreats, and we used to do it monthly. Traditionally, this could be offered as like part of a monthly reset whenever the new moon comes up. And this particular Lojong, because there's more than one Lojong, but this particular Lojong that we study is one that was written by Geshe Langri Tengpa. And that's really just says he's a master that came from Langri Tengpa. His name is actually Dorje Senge, which means diamond lion. And Lo means mind, thought, or wish. And Zhang means to make pure or to practice. And so you are zhanging your Lo. You are training your mind, right? And so it can be directly translated to mind training, but that sounds kind of like regimented and stiff. So the other way that you can think of it is developing a good heart. It's the practices that lead you towards full and total complete enlightenment. And really, also, I think before that, it's how do you get to nirvana? Because in our tradition, there's a difference between nirvana and total enlightenment. And so nirvana means that you've rid yourself completely of ever experiencing any mental affliction ever again. Okay. So like you can be like, yeah, I've reached nirvana, but then the next moment you're angry. No, you haven't. Nirvana is like, it's done. It's gone. It's extinguished. No more. So you can imagine that it's a tough training. Like you don't just wake up one morning and you're like, oh, I'm enlightened. It doesn't work that way. Okay. Enlightenment means you're done with the stuff that's causing a suffering life. You're like over it and it never comes back because you've understood why. You've worked your mind enough and trained your mind and put all those little grooves into your habit mind that says you understand why that's not necessary anymore, why that's such a destructive practice. And so Lojong was used as a practice. It was actually a secret practice for a long time because it can be really hard to understand unless you have a good understanding of karma and emptiness. So karma is understanding where things really come from. And if you've done your study, you would know that every cause and effect that you ever experience can only be perceived by one mind. Whose is it? Yeah, yours, right? So emptiness is the fact that all of those perceptions are filling something, so to speak. Okay. Emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. It means that there is limitless potential for the way that you can experience a situation. The example that I've used before, and I don't have one with me, so I'm going to use this one, right? Is what is this? Stick, mallet, right? For those of you who are musicians, you know this maybe as a mallet. What would a dog see this as? Chew toy, right? Okay. Anyone who has a puppy and a pair of leather shoes would know that this would be seen as a chew toy by a dog. So some of you called this stick. Musicians who know what this is might call it a mallet. Do you see how we all see this thing as something different? And we're not just talking humans, we're talking all sentient beings. Okay. And so that's just a really entry-level way to experience or have a understanding of emptiness. You could meet the same person and you might think that they are so sweet and so nice. And the person next to you is like, nah, that guy's a jerk. You don't have the same experience, which means that things are changeable. Okay. Which means that if somebody permanently exuded being a jerk, everybody who met that person would think that they were a jerk. Okay. But somehow you can manage to find somebody who doesn't think they're a jerk, right? I think our current political situation is a good example of that, right? So we really like to think that things are one way and it's coming from outside of us, right? We forget that, hey, we're the source. We're the one that's making these kinds of impressions on the world that we're experiencing. And so Lojong is meant to give us the opportunity to stretch our mind in situations that we would normally habitually react. Give you a good example just to start off, and then I'll try to get into these slogans. I never think 20 or 25 minutes is enough to like talk about some of this stuff, but here we go. So last December, I was in the emergency room. I get kidney stones pretty frequently. I'm one of those people. And it sucks when it comes around. Like it's awful pain. If you've ever had gallbladder stones or if you've ever had kidney stones, you know, it's like you'd rather maybe be dead. Like that's how bad it is. And so I was in the emergency room and, you know, it was December. Turns out I learned that the last week of the year is like the busiest time for hospitals because everybody's trying to get in to like see the doctor one last time before insurance rolls over. And so I'm sitting in there and, you know, I'm trying to practice. I use this practice to interact with the world around me. And yeah, I'm in pain. You know, I'm doubled over. It doesn't feel good. But I try not to get lost in my pain. I mean, yes, it sucks. It hurts. But it doesn't mean I have to sit there and think of like, oh, me, oh, I'm the one that's in most pain of all this, all the people in this room. I should be the one that sees the doctor first, right? Because our minds tend to do that. They try to say, I'm number one. I need to be the one in the front of the line. I need to be first. It's actually a very Western way of thinking. And I took a moment to try and step back and just look at all the people in the room. And there was one little abuela in the corner with her daughter, and she looked like she was in a lot of pain. She was pretty sick. She had one of those really deep coughs that you knew that had been there for a while, and she probably needed to see a doctor. And I practiced this practice called Tonglen, where you observe the pain that somebody else is feeling, and you practice taking it on for yourself. So may no other beings ever experience this ever again in the world. And then the next person that came in was a young mother who was experiencing a loss of pregnancy. And like, that was a really hard one to practice, just being a mother and watching her come in. And she was in so much pain, and everyone was really worried about her. And she was so concerned about her baby. And you just think, my pain is nothing compared to that. And I think of people who don't have the mind training to be able to experience situations without letting that get to them. And so again, I took that pain for her. And then there was the young mother next to me who had a little boy that was maybe about 3 years old, who was really sick. He was not feeling good. And she was doing everything she could to like help manage his puking. While not trying to, she's being really considerate of the people around her, tried to choose the place that nobody was close to her, tried to avoid being around the older people. You could see the level of consideration in her choices. And again, taking that pain for her. And when they called my name, I almost said, like, please just pick somebody else. I can wait. I don't need this. They do. And that's the practice of a bodhisattva. That's the practice of mind training. And what you're doing is you're inviting a new perspective on your world. Now, when you first read through Lojong, it can seem kind of like, whoa, wait a second. You're asking me to like give up my, like give up myself. It can feel a little bit like you're being asked to turn into a doormat, but that's not what it is. Because if you understand karma and emptiness, if you understand where your reality comes from, it can never be that. So that's one of the reasons why this practice was left as a secret teaching, is because it was an oral transmitted teaching. It was given from teacher to student. And the teacher had to really know, is my student ready for this? Because if you practice this incorrectly, and you start treating yourself like a martyr, you're not doing any good for yourself, especially if you start holding resentment. Oh, these practices. Oh, they're making me do things that don't feel good. How is this a good thing? Buddha taught peace. How is this going to bring me to peace? And then your mind is off and away on another roller coaster of samsara. So when you engage with this practice, it's really, really important that you have a foundation of the teachings, what Buddha taught. The foundation of karma and emptiness. And I know karma is a loaded word, but learn what karma really means, okay? Not the Western interpretation of it, okay? So if you want to follow along on page 34 of your chant book, I'm going to use a different translation, but they're pretty close. The translation I'm using was a commentary written by my great-great-grandfather. Well, like, he's like my great-great-grandfather in the lineage. So my teacher's teacher's teacher, Ken Rinpoche, wrote a commentary on Lojong. He was the abbot of Sarah May's Tantric College in Tibet before Tibet was invaded. And he was a very high respected Lama who ended up in Howell, New Jersey, and teaching there, which is where my teacher's teacher ended up becoming the first American Geshe through his teacher. And Geshe Langri Tangpa, or Diamond Lion, that's a picture of him sitting there. That's his drawing that they do for all the Geshes. So I'll be using his commentary and his translation. So the first verse, and there's only 8 of them. They're easy to memorize and they're easy to take throughout your day. May I think of every living being as more precious than a wish-giving gem for reaching the ultimate goal, and so always hold them dear. Now this feels like, okay, like cherish other beings, right? There's 3 ways that you can read this verse. The first one is, when you think of the state of mind that wants to reach total enlightenment, that state of mind is more precious than a wish-giving gem, okay? To be enlightened, you don't need to make any more wishes. You don't have any more suffering. What's there to wish for? Right? You have all the happiness. You don't need a wish-giving gem. So that's one. Number 2, Buddhahood itself is better than a wish-giving gem. Number 3, and this one's the kicker, that really, when my teacher taught me this, I was like, oh, I've never thought of it that way. May I think of every living being as more precious than a wish-giving gem for reaching the ultimate goal, and so always hold them dear. Even if you had a wish-fulfilling gem, somebody gave you Aladdin's lamp, and there was a blue genie that popped out named Robin Williams. He's been like invading my mind for the last couple of months. And he said, well, what do you want? And even if you said, I want total enlightenment, you wouldn't even know what that is, because you don't have it. So how could you wish for something you don't know what it is? Do you see what I mean? You could wish for a red sports car. You've seen plenty of those, right? If you wish for world peace, who's it for? World peace is going to mean something different for China than it's going to be for America. Do you see what I mean? I know, right? Heavy, right? Like, whoa, mind-blowing. So why do you have to think of every living being as more precious than a wish-giving gem? When you think about your practice to grow towards Buddhahood is the strongest when it's done in community. You could go sit in a cave for many years and then all of a sudden come back out and still be annoyed with every living being that you've ever interacted with. But every living being that shows you that annoyance that's coming from your mind, you have to be thinking like, whoa, you're giving me an opportunity to practice. I can alleviate something. But often we just want to stick in that annoyance because it feels good and because it's habitual. I'm not going to say it's easy. I spent all day trying to practice with my 2 kids because my husband was doing a work thing, recabling an entire factory floor. And I had to spend my entire day with a 2 and a 4-year-old. And it was things like, I got to do laundry around the house. I've got to clean. And then we've got to go and take them out somewhere so they're like entertained and doing something that's fun for them. And, so they're not just sitting there watching TV all day. And then I've got to go to a grad party. And then I've got to do this. And then I've got to do that. All while they're like, Mom, I'm hungry. Mom, I want to watch TV. Mom, I want to do this. Mom, can you do this? Mom, look at me. Look at me. Talk about an applied practice. But they are the wish giving. They are more precious than a wish giving gem, because every opportunity that I want to react habitually, I want to yell, I want to raise my voice, I want to put me first, me, I'm the one that's important. Shut up, go away. That's an opportunity to change. That's the agency. But often we can't see it because either we don't have a practice that's developed enough to be able to see it, or we're too caught up in our own self-cherishing. So the second verse, and yeah, we could really dig into each of these verses. Like we could do a whole 10 weeks on, 2 hours each on each of these. But we are short on time. The second verse, when I'm with another, wherever we are, may I see myself as the lowest. May I hold the other as highest from the bottom of my heart. So this Lojong instruction is to see praise and blame as equal illusions, right? Where are they coming from? They're coming from me. It doesn't mean that when people do bad things that we should just go, oh, well, that must come from me. Oh, I must be a horrible person. Like, that's not what it means. It's talking about how can we function in a world, okay, while bad things still happen, suffering still happens. And it's really more about managing pride. You know, when you really want to say, oh, look at the thing that I did, look at how good I am, right? Or, you know, expecting praise from your partner whenever you've cleaned the house top to bottom and they come and they don't say anything. Yeah. Look at me. I did the dishes. Look at how special I'm the guy, right? Me. It's really about managing pride. Okay. So how often are we, you know, even if you hold the door open for somebody and somebody doesn't say thank you and you're like, you know, Judgy McJudge over here. Like you think about it and you're like, whoa, how subtle can this get? Right? How subtle are we constantly attaching to these expectations that the world operate in the way we think it needs to operate? Right? I know I'm triggering myself too. And what came to mind for me was, and yeah, we could dig into this more, but I got to go on, was verse 5.73 of Master Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life. If I do not protect this mind, I will be unable to protect my vows. If I do not protect my vows, my goal of human life is lost. And what that means is for those of us who are vow holders, vows are the ethical framework for which we live our lives. They're basically like guidelines that say, hey, do this so you can experience more goodness, and don't do that so you can avoid habituating things like pride and jealousy. And so this one, wherever I am, whenever I'm with somebody else, because again, this Lojong is about practicing with other people, not about sitting in a cave. Okay. May I see myself as lowest. May I hold the others highest from the bottom of my heart. Because what would the result of that be? What would the result of constantly cherishing other people and admiring them and, you know, putting them up, putting them in front, saying, no, it was their idea. It wasn't mine. You know, what would the result of that be? If you're planting seeds to see more celebration of other people in your life, do you know what tends to happen or what will come back? You could be happy, or you see more of people celebrating you too, recognizing your goodness. You recognize goodness in others. There will be times when all of a sudden you're able to see how somebody else is recognizing goodness in you, because it's a mirror. Our entire experience is a reflection of our mind. I'll leave that there for time's sake. So number 3, as I go through the day, may I watch my mind to see if a negative thought comes. If it does, may I stop it right there with force, since it hurts myself and others. This is the inner training, okay? So that verse before it might have been the external training, like working with other people, right? That subtle pride that comes up. This is your inner training. So this is the part of me that's like, when I feel really enraged with my kids and I feel that habitual tug to yell, it's that part where I can, instead of going, it's not them, it's me. I'm the guy. I'm the one that's feeling annoyed. I'm the one that's feeling angered. And so normally in moments like that, I do something really radical. Like I lock myself in a closet for 10 minutes. Like, I'm not going to react to this. I refuse to react to this. And, you know, they're kind of like banging on the door like, Mom, where are you? And I'm over here just like, oh, you know, trying not to let myself go down that rabbit hole. Okay. And I think of something my mom once said to me once. She said, I was complaining to her about how my kids were running around the house with like forks or sharp objects. And she was like, well, why don't you just hand them like a rubber spatula instead? Like the tendency is to want to yell, hey, don't run. Hey, don't do this. Hey, stop having fun. But she was like, no, just take whatever sharp object is away and give them something that won't hurt anybody and let them keep running and having fun. And I was like, wow, what a radical way to think of doing something. Like, it's so simple, we miss it. It's so simple. And so how often are we doing this in our lives? How often are we saying, well, you know, my annoyance about you running around the world or running around world with sharp objects, you know, is coming from you. It's not coming from you. It's me. I'm the one that's annoyed. Why can't I just give you a rubber spatula? You know? So, verse number 4. At times I will meet bad people, tormented by strong bad deeds and pain. They are hard to find, like a mine of gold, and so may I hold them dear. Now, you might be thinking, no, they're not hard to find. Like, I meet those people every day. But if you practice Lojong, you will come to learn that they are hard to find because you've started to understand. You've been practicing, not start to understand. You understand where your world is coming from. So it's kind of like saying when you find a jerk, that's your opportunity. That's your precious gem. That's the one that you can really work your mind with. Okay. I think of people who are tormented by strong, bad deeds and pain. And when I was a kid, it was my dad. My dad's from Ireland, Dublin, Ireland. He's been involved in some things. I won't go much further than that. And he had an unfortunate accident when he was 16 years old, where he was driving home, him and his best friend, drunk, because I guess that's what you do when you're 16 years old in Ireland. And he killed his best friend. Car accident. And I know that a lot of that, as well as the death of his father, my grandfather was a prisoner of war in Birkenau, in Nazi Germany. Poland, technically, I think, is where Birkenau was. I'm not good with world history, but when he came back, that was my dad's experience of his father. He grew up most of his life without his father, and then he passed when he was 11 years old. And so I think of my father's, past deeds and history and pain, and I can see why he interacted with the world the way he did, which I know the older that he gets, the more he feels resentment for, or remorse for, not resentment, remorse. And so I practice looking at people I see that have difficulties or anger or frustration or suffering as my father. They're just like him. There's something that happened to them at some point in their life that really screwed things up. And so can I extend that heart of compassion? Now, this doesn't mean let them walk all over you, okay? What it means is find the capacity that you can. Where can you serve? Where is your capacity? And meet that. Don't go over it. Just meet it. Okay. If you're somebody who walks around with $100 bills in your pocket and you can help somebody out by giving them that $100 bill, do it. But if you're not that kind of person, don't go break your bank for it. Okay. Like, do what's in your capacity and then keep going. Use that as part of your practice. All right. I know I'm getting close here and we're only halfway through, so I'm going to try to make these ones short. Some jealous person might do me wrong, insult me, or something of the like. May I learn to take the loss myself and offer them the gain. You've ever been in a yelling match with somebody? My favorite is when somebody flips me off when I'm driving, right? And you're really tempted to just right on back, right? And which I've done before, and then I got followed home and screamed at by a very aggressive individual. So, like actions, causes, conditions, right? So I'm going to stick with that example, right? When let's look at the causes and conditions here. Somebody flips you off in traffic. You flip them off back. What is that habituating? More anger. Okay. You're creating the neural pathways in your brain that says, this feels good to react and stand up for myself, right? Who are you really standing up for at that point, right? Who is the self? Is it your pride? What is it, right? Instead, being able to look at that person like I'd look at my dad and go, wow, they've got a lot of suffering. They've got a lot of pain. And if I react, right? If I respond, I'm not doing myself any good things. I'm saying it's okay to get angry. It's okay to see my world as divided. It's okay to be separated from others. Okay? So this verse warns us, take the loss as so our self-existent version of us would see it as, and offer them the gain. Okay? Oh, there's a whole section in here that's great on, I'm actually going to say this. So have you heard what psychological disarmament methods are? A little bit? Okay, so that basically means that when I saw this on a documentary for school kids, and they were teaching them these methods that like how to deal with bullies in school. And so when a bully comes up and says something really awful, like you're pathetic, and normally you'd be like, no, I'm not, right? No, I'm not. No, I'm not, right? You feel like you need to get defensive. This method actually says like, respond differently. Like, yeah, maybe sometimes I am. Because then they're like, oh, wait, what? You're agreeing with me? Right? And for those of you who've seen the film 8 Mile with Eminem, I think of the movie where they actually have this exchange that's called pre-butting in rap battles, where he says all of the potential insults that his, rap battle person is going to say against him, and he just uses them on himself, right? And he's like, well, no, I'm the poor guy that comes from this awful neighborhood, and I know I've got all these bad things that have happened in my life, and yeah, I'm taking ownership. What you going to do? What are you going to say now? Like, I'm the guy. I did all those things. What now? Right? But what he's doing is he's really recognizing who the real enemy is here. It's the reflection in his own mind that says he is. It's his mind. It was his preconceived notions that his experience was creating the reality of him being a victim, right? And he basically offered that up and said, this is just a story. It's just a story. And either you're going to believe it or I'm going to believe it. And really, who's the one, like, if I believe it, what is that going to do for me? It's not going to create anything good. So 6, there may be times when I turn to someone with every hope that they'll help me, and instead they do me great wrong. May I see them as my holy guide. If you're a parent, you know exactly what this feels like. When your kid, you're telling them to do something, and it's kind of like they throw up the middle finger in a sense. Like, nah, I'm not going to do that. And you're like, but I have expectations of you to be a good kid, right? Whatever that is in our head. And so how often are we constantly using that as fuel to continue our own self-cherishing, right? It gives us, especially, I say us, like really talking to myself as a parent, to go, how can I change this? How can I transform my world a little bit? Oh man, this is way too short. In brief, may I give all my help and joy to my mothers directly or in some other way. May I take the hurt and pain of all my mothers in secret upon myself. Every being is our mother. So in the Tibetan tradition, the mind or the consciousness that we're experiencing is beginningless and endless. That means that we have multiple iterations of how we've experienced existence, okay? And so if that were the case, then every other stream of consciousness in this room at some point has been our mother. Every other stream of consciousness that exists has at some point been our mother. Okay. Now, some people have rocky relationships with their parents. Okay. And this doesn't mean that, it doesn't not validate that. But when we think about, why are you here? How could you even exist? Every single one of us has a mother. Somebody who carried you in their body for 9 to 10 months. Somebody who, gave up, like literally their physical being for you to exist. And if that's just the very minimal thing you can look at for your mother, if you were to treat all beings as being able to say thank you for that gift, right? Thank you for the gift that is potentially going to turn me into a Buddha when you are angry at me. How I react is going to potentially lead my way to enlightenment. And so may we take upon ourselves all of their pain and suffering. When we see someone suffering, this is Tonglen practice, which I can't get into today. Secretly take it upon yourself. Tonglen is what I did in the hospital room. Take on the pain for others. It could be worse. You could be dead. Lastly, may none of this ever be made impure by the 8 ideas of things. May I see all things are illusion and free myself from the chains of attachments. There's 2 ways to think of these ideas, and I'm only going to talk about one of them. And what Diamond Lion, Dorje Sangye, is saying is all of these practices that are given in Lojong, these pure practices of how to interact with your world. May I see myself as the lowest among all. May I put others first, right? May I stop myself when I am about to engage in a negative mental affliction, okay? And don't let them be tainted by the 8 ideas of things. And that is, you're happy when you get the thing that you want. Self-cherishing. You're not happy when you don't. Self-cherishing. You like feeling good. That doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's just, how are you feeling good? Is it for your benefit or is it for the benefit of others, right? Self-cherishing. You don't like feeling bad. Well, nobody likes feeling bad. That's why we're in this practice, right? But again, are you doing it self-existently? Self-cherishing. You crave fame. You want to be noticed. Self-cherishing. You don't want other people to forget about you. Well, why? You don't get to control that. Self-cherishing. You crave praise. You want to be recognized. Self-cherishing. You don't want to be criticized because you know that you have things to work on and you really don't want other people to tell you that. Again, why? Who's the one that's important here that you're making important? Is it others or is it you? Self-cherishing. And so there's another Lojong called The Wheel of Sharp Weapons, written by Dharma Rakshita. And he addresses our greatest enemy, which maybe you've figured out who our greatest enemy is at this point. Smash the skull of my misperceptions, the one who have wasted my life. Bring your death to the heart of this butcher, my greatest enemy. He's saying, instead of fearing your self-cherishing, that part of you, like don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of that part of you that's keeping you stuck in this cycle. Weaponize it. Okay, use that against itself. Okay, he calls on this wrathful angel. It's this tantric creature, being, goddess, god, called Yamari, the Lord of Death. And he says, use that to be your compassionate assassin. And it's only aimed directly at the root of suffering, which is the obsession with me, mine, myself. And the only reason that we're able to call on this kind of protector is because of the good karma that we've planted in the past. The only reason that you're able to do any of this work is because you've done good things in the past. You wouldn't be sitting here if you didn't. You have to think about the law of cause and effect, which feels really backwards. Normally we're like, oh, if I do this, then I get this. But we think of it in a really disjointed kind of way. If I work a job, I get money. If I buy a Starbucks drink, I'm always going to get that Starbucks drink. What happens when you walk up to the register and they don't have any of the thing that you want? Did you get it? You have the money. Why didn't you get it? Do you see what I mean? Like we mistaken often how things come up. Goodness comes from goodness. Giving things away and being generous means that you will see generosity in your world. Habituate anger, you'll see more anger. It's a very difficult thing to wrap your mind around, but that's why the Buddha said, test it. Test it like gold. So as much as I'd love to keep going, we're actually at time, but I'd like to give a few moments to joys and concerns, and then just mention a few announcements. So I'll do the announcements first, and then we can do joys and concerns. Yes? Oh, thank you. I was just going to kind of guess. So we have a Wednesday online meditation group from 6 to 6:45 on Zoom. We have our Dharma discussion group on Thursdays. Oh, wait. Isn't this off for the summer? I think so. Yeah, check the newsletter. I'd say check the newsletter for the Dharma discussion group. We have Buddhist-based recovery meetings on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. meditation, 7 p.m. meeting here at the temple, Wednesdays 6:30 p.m. at the Alano Club, Fridays 10:05 a.m. meditation and 10:30 a.m. meditation here at the temple. As always, you can always look on our events page for details of upcoming things that are happening. Let's go ahead and just jump jump into some joys and concerns. So joys and concerns, for those of you who may have never done this before, is an opportunity for you to share something good that's happening in your life, or maybe something that's not so good, and just allow us to hold space for you.
Hi, I'm new here. It's my first time being at Buddhist in Grand Rapids, but I've been to the one in Oakland County. Um, but I have a lot of things to. I've been dealing with a lot of healing from a lot of stuff I done been through, but I've done a whole bunch of lot of good stuff. But I've been on a healing journey for the last 2 3 years, cleansing and with my family. My auntie's a social worker, so I have a lot of family ties to a lot of family know about mental health and healthcare. So, but I'm currently homeless, but I've been through a lot of stuff. As far as abuse, mental abuse, breakdowns, uh, confused about my sexuality. Uh, but I've seen a lot of great things in my life, and I've seen a lot of stuff is moving better. Um, but it's a lot of still more healing, but I think I'm heading on the right direction for big changes and blessings.
Hi, I'm going to meet my best friend's baby after I leave here, who's a couple weeks old, and that's joyful, I think. So, that.
My joy is finding this temple, and your words were amazing this morning. Um, I've been searching a long time to find a place like this. So thank you.
I've been having a lot of tough discussions lately with close friends about the ways our familiarity with each other have kind of led us to take each other for granted. And not all of those conversations have been respectful, but we're all mature enough that respect undergirdles the process. So I'm thankful for the friendships that I have.
Recently, my grandmother passed away, so that's my concern there. But my joy is also centered on that, in that she's no longer ailing and in pain, strangely enough. So.
All right. Let's take a moment to hold those joys and concerns in our hearts. And we bow. So we're going to recite our closing gathas, and just a reminder. Oh, we have another announcement. Oh, Donna. Perfect. Thank you. And if you'd like to donate, I'm just going to quickly do the Donna announcement, if that's okay. Do you want to do it? Okay. If you'd like to donate to support our temple, there's boxes either end. There's QR codes. If you're online, there's a button somewhere you can click that you can donate to. All of those funds go to keeping the lights on and supporting spreading Dharma in Grand Rapids. So we appreciate anything that you can give. All right. You heard the lady. We got to get the cushions in there in our closet after you're done. If there's one thing that you remember, that meditation we started with today, there's one thing that you can do to like plant good seeds is take care of others. And by putting away these cushions, like see yourself caring for somebody else as you pick that cushion up and put it away. I am doing this for somebody else and serving them. Okay. This is what we mean by our practice, is use everything as fuel, every little thing. Okay. And expect no thanks. All right. Even though they're probably thanking you. So lastly, we're going to chant our closing gathas. And then if you'd like to join us, we've got tea and conversation downstairs after service. On page 6. And together we say, for all unskillful action ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddhist teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to enter. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. And lastly, thank you for being here today. Lastly, this side of the room, face that side of the room. And be back. Thanks, everyone. Have a great Sunday.